I don't care what these supplements are telling you on the packaging about something being all natural. If it's produced in a factory by an industrial process, it cannot be natural. That's the opposite of natural. I want to talk to you today about supplements. The question is going to be, do you need to take supplements in order to work out and build muscle? And the reason I want to talk about this is because I work out frequently, and some people just assume that I'm taking supplements, and every once in a while I'll get a question about what kind of supplements I'm using. And my answer is always the same. Well, I don't use any. I don't take any. I just don't do any of that. So I'm going to explain to you why that is my approach. Now, I'm not going to tell you what you should or should not do. This is going to just be more or less me talking about why I do what I do. Okay. And you can make your own decisions based on your own interests and your own goals. But let's jump into it. First of all, I am Mark Johnson, the founder of Bounce Back, bringing you ideas for a fit and flourishing future. And also, I am the youngest son of Bill Johnson. I want to thank you for being here. And I encourage you to go ahead and leave some comments. If you disagree or agree with anything I say, it's okay. And typically, I do respond to comments as much as I can. So there's a good chance if you leave a comment, you might get a response. Okay. So with that said, let's just jump right in here. So when I started working out right from the beginning, I decided that I was not going to use any supplements. And my reason for making that decision was very, very simple, very straightforward. It's just because I don't know what's in these supplements. That was it. I simply don't trust what goes into all of these supplements that are available on the market. Now, there are a lot of different kinds of supplements, vitamins and minerals and probiotics and protein powder and botanicals. Like there's like this whole smorgasbord of supplements that you can get, a bunch of different varieties. But when it comes to working out and building muscle, I think the one that readily comes to mind for everyone is protein powder. And a lot of people rely on protein powders to supplement their intake and then help them build muscle more quickly. Now, I have never consumed any protein powder at all, never even tasted it. None, period. It has not prevented me from going into the gym and working out, working hard, and building muscle. Now, you can see on camera, of course, I'm not like the biggest, bulkiest guy. Like, I'm not a massive man. But if I take my shirt off, you will see some muscles. Make no mistake about it. You're going to see some muscles. But I'm not a massive man. And I attribute that at least partly to the fact that, I don't consume protein powders. I don't consume those protein supplements that would perhaps help me bulk up more quickly than I would otherwise. And I just want to tell you that it's okay. It depends on what your objectives are. My objective for working out was never to be this hulking mass of muscle that can barely squeeze through a doorway. Okay. But some people, that's really what they're going for. They want to look like that. Okay. And for them, they might be more inclined to take protein powders because they're just trying to consume massive amounts of protein, right? Okay. But it depends on what your goals are. If you're not someone who's in that boat, then, you know, you might want to think twice about taking protein powders and other supplements. My approach has been to just go natural. Okay. For instance, my typical lunch would be a small fillet of salmon, and then I'll have like a block of tofu with it. So the tofu, obviously, some extra protein in addition to the salmon, which is giving you protein, and then some nice healthy fats. Then I might have like little bit of rice next to that. Give me some carbs or whatever. Maybe a little salad that has some beans or something. So that might be some extra protein in the salad or something like that. But that would be a very typical lunch for me. And then all of my other meals throughout the day, I also try to make sure that I have some source of protein. And so my approach is simply to make sure that every meal that I eat has some kind of protein in it, rather than turning to supplementation. Now, you have things like the uh, the protein bars and then the protein powders, which I already explained, I don't get into. Let me explain to you more detail why I don't uh, consume those products. It's because, as I said, I don't know what's in them. And if you know anything about the protein powders and the protein bars and all those types of products, you know that they come out of factories. Now, anything that is produced in a factory cannot be natural. And this is I had a heated debate with my sister about this topic recently because she was talking to me about supplements she was taking and she kept saying, oh, they're all natural. And I kept telling her, I said, sis, if it's coming out of a factory, it's produced by an industrial process, by definition, it can't be natural. It, and we were going back and forth on this, and I refused to relent. So my position is, okay, I don't care what these supplements are telling you on the packaging about something being all natural. If it's produced in a factory by an industrial process, it cannot be natural. That's the opposite of natural. Okay, so that's my position on it. That's one reason why I avoid it, because once you get into the industrial processing of foods, a lot of times they're adding different chemicals and different compounds and everything to produce that final product. And so you don't necessarily know or fully understand what's in that product. And I mean, it's hard to understand. A lot of times you have these big long words that if you're not a chemist, you don't understand what they mean. You could, of course, go to the internet and start looking up all the definitions of everything, but that takes a lot of time. It takes some study. You got to be patient. You got to have a good memory to really remember what all that stuff is. So it takes some effort to really learn what all that stuff is. And then when you learn what it is, you realize that a lot of it is not natural. Okay, a lot of these products use things like emulsifiers. If you know what an emulsifier does, it basically takes two like natural substances and then it forces them to combine when they would not naturally combine, right? And so when you put that in your body, a lot of times you can confuse your system because it gets into your digestive system, and your digestive system is looking at these things and it's like, wait a minute, what is this? You've got these two substances that are not supposed to be combined. Now you put them here and you want me to deal with it, right? So you can literally confuse your body like that. So things like emulsifiers and other things that they do, other like chemicals they add to these products can be a problem for your body and cause inflammation. And because it's so hard to understand, what the consequences of all of these chemicals and all these processes are on your body, I just choose to refrain from using those products. Now, a lot of times, the products, if used in moderation, are basically safe. A lot of times they're safe, but the problem is, I don't know. That's really the problem. And there was a study the results were released last month, I believe it was. The study taking place obviously earlier, but they released the results last month, and they did this study on protein powders. And what they found was that something like almost 80% of plant-based and organic protein powders had like unsafe levels of metal, like lead and cadmium and mercury, arsenic, unsafe levels of these, these substances in the protein powders. And they found similar results for like the chocolate flavored and vanilla flavored protein powders as well. And you would think that the plant-based and organic protein powders would be the healthiest options, but the research showed something different. And to be fair, understand that things like lead and mercury and everything, they come from the environment. So it's coming from the soil, okay? And as well, it's coming from the packaging that these products use. So sometimes the products actually pick up, some of these contaminants from the actual packaging that they're wrapped in, right? But some of it is actually coming from the soil that the original plants are grown in, right? So that's an environmental issue. And to some extent, that can be avoided. even if you go to the grocery store and buy a fruit or a piece or like a piece of fruit or a vegetable or something, it could still have some of that contamination. The problem with the supplements is that a lot of times you're getting like high concentrations. That's really the issue. Supplements tend to be concentrated versions of what you're trying to get. So when you get, when you are consuming protein powder, it's concentrated. So the amounts of these contaminants that you're intaking at the same time can be concentrated as well. And that's where the danger comes in. And like I said, for the layperson, you don't necessarily have a great understanding of the risks. You don't have a great understanding of the level of or the amount of these substances that are in the protein powders that you're consuming. So, like I said, if you want to do something like consume protein powder to bulk up and just increase the rate of your muscle growth, I'm not going to stop you. But what I would recommend is that, like, keep it moderate. Um, Try not to go overboard. And just in general, if you can, try to get most of your protein just from whole natural foods. For instance, if you have a day where you know for sure you have reach your protein needs simply from whole natural foods, then don't have any protein powder that day. Okay, and maybe just save it for the days where maybe you need a little extra punch, and when you use it, just small amounts. Um, that would be my recommendation. Now, it's up to you. If you're comfortable putting substances in your body that you don't fully understand the effects of them, then you can go ahead and do that. But I'm not, never have been, and so that's why I've never used any supplements. So that's my take on this. You can do what you want, do your own research, find the facts, make your own decisions. But I can tell you, me personally, if you ask me, do you need to use supplements in order to build muscle? My answer would be no, you don't need to. You can choose to, but you don't need to. You can build muscle without them. If you want to get extreme with it, then maybe you perhaps want to add supplementation because it will help you do that. But just understand that there are no free lunches. There are always going to be some risks. Anytime you're pumping substances, especially um, industrially produced substances in your body, there is going to be, in my opinion, a higher risk that you could be contaminated with something, or you can mess up your digestive system, things like that. So just be aware of the health risks to the greatest extent you can before you use those products. That is what I would say. I'm going to leave you with that. Take this with you. Talk to you next time.